your local video store card,
a comic book in your back pocket,
games with no tutorials,
music you had to discover,
and drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters, because this podcast takes tokens.
In the year 2043, crime is rampant. The once great city of Detroit is a decaying husk, controlled by powerful corporations and overrun by brutal gangs. But a new kind of law enforcement walks the steel-plated streets, a shadow forged from tragedy and technology. That's right, today we are talking about RoboCop, the 1987 cyborg cop who became a pop culture legend. That was RoboCop, a symbol of hope or a harbinger of a chilling future. Today we find out. And today we're talking RoboCop. That intro was brought to you by ChatGPT, or thank you very much for that. Kind of tweaked it down, but I can't take full credit. So yeah, talking RoboCop. You liked it?
Right. Yeah. It had a mysterious vibe to it.
It kind of did, didn't it?
Yeah.
All right. RoboCop, released July 17th, 1987. Runtime, 1 hour, 42 minutes. It's described as a dystopic, crime-ridden Detroit, and a terminally wounded cop returns to the force as a powerful cyborg haunted by submerged memories. It had a budget of $13 million, and on its opening weekend in the US and Canada, raked in $8 million, with a total gross, like what do you call that whenever total run? Total gross at the box office of $53 million. 53 million. So not bad. It got its money back.
Good.
I'd say it got its money back. They made 2 direct sequels, and I'm looking at the list. There are so many other like made for TV movies, TV shows, cartoon series, and then they did the more recent reboot one.
Yep. And then they had the toy line too.
Toy line, yes.
They had
the crossover with Terminator.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was big. It was a big one. RoboCop. So rewatching the movie, what are your thoughts after rewatching the movie?
So I'm going to be completely honest. I love the movie. I enjoy it. I own it. I've got the trilogy box set. But it had been a while since I had seen it. I bought the box set a couple months ago, and I just hadn't got around to watching it. And then when you said, "Hey, let's do RoboCop," I'm like, "Oh, now I have a reason to, watch I have a reason to pull this out." I like it for the violence, if that makes any sense. But watching it again, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I did when I was younger.
Okay,
but
that's fair.
That's not to say I didn't like it. I did like it, and I love the action in it. And I love the storyline. I love that I love the just kind of it's a little bit campy,
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, what were you gonna say there?
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, it is a little campy, but it was kind of stepping on a point I was gonna make later. But it just had a feel of a low budget movie, or rather the director came from low budget movies and was given this, because it was $13 million budget in 1987. That's a pretty good budget. But yeah, it definitely feels like the director came from low budget movies into this. I don't know who directed it off the top of my head. Peter Verhoeven?
Okay.
Well, I bet you that. I don't know who that is. I
What
don't
else
really
has he
recognize.
done?
RoboCop is his top movie.
Okay.
He also did Hollow Man in 2000.
Oh yeah, I remember Hollow
Ellie.
Man. I liked Hollow Man.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
I don't know.
So yeah. Showgirls. Total Recall. He directed Total Recall.
Stop right there. Showgirls ruins everything else that he's done.
Starship Troopers.
Okay, he's got some good ones under his belt, but I guarantee you, he's just wishing that IMDb would erase that Showgirls off of that list. But you know, I think that the thing. So the thing that I think that I didn't that disappointed me a little bit rewatching this. I know this is what it is. I was all in on it, like the whole ride, but I feel like the movie just abruptly ends. I don't feel like there's any like real solid conclusion to it. And
see, I feel opposite.
Oh, you do?
I like the way it just ended. You don't see that very often. It was just everything was concluded. All the story, there was no real storyline to continue with, and like he takes out the bad guy, catchphrase, walk out the door, credits. That's the perfect ending.
Yeah. I don't know. I personally was wanting just a little bit more. And
all right. Well, that's why you got RoboCop 2 and 3.
That's why I've got 2 and 3, and I need to watch them now. Yeah, that's how I continue the story.
That's right.
That's what they had in mind. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna make like another 2 sequels to this, so we can just abruptly end this."
Yes.
But so you enjoyed watching it then?
I did. I think I enjoyed it about. I think my experience was, if you put it on a graph, it would look similar to yours, where I enjoyed it as a child to whatever degree, and now I still enjoy it, but it's different. It's not quite as much, and there's definitely some things that stand out, but at the same time, there's some things that stand out more now than they did before. Like the ending, I never considered, but now having a fandom of movies over a lifetime, I look at the ending now and can kind of appreciate how it ends, how it ends. There's no reason for it to go on. They don't force any more storyline. There's no post-credit scene or anything like that setting up the next movie. It's just movie's over. Everybody get up and go home. But yeah, it's kind of It was fun. I really enjoyed it. I don't have any big outstanding notes on it. As far as like my thoughts on it. But we can start going through the movie and talking about the different parts of it. And it's it's set in Detroit in the future. This is a popular theme in the 80s, this dystopian near future where which I thought was kind of interesting, where they always show this probably like 20 to 40 year off future where the streets are just overrun with gangs and everything's dirty and gritty, and we see that over and over again in the 80s. And I think it's funny because like every decade kind of has like a different take on what the future is going to look like, and like what's going to like take us down, so to speak. And it's funny how in the 80s it was always this very dark, dystopic, almost apocalyptic Mad Max style feel to the future. And there's never a positive outlook on the future from the 80s.
There's not. Like,
it's all doom and gloom.
This is like I felt the outlook on this and the atmosphere of the movie to me was very similar to Running Man.
Oh yeah,
where it was, like you're saying, it was just this like everybody's pretty much fending for themselves, and these drug lords and, gang members are really taking over the streets, and the police force is like, we're done
overrun.
with it now. Yeah. I mean, I guess, in this instance, yeah, like they're trying, but they can't. Like, there's only so much they can do. But you're right. It's that. My point is, it's that theme that dark. Just, the future is gonna suck. So enjoy life while you can, because this is what's gonna happen. And that even carried over into Demolition Man. You remember that? Like, it was, but I guess that was more present day, or was it? Yeah, I guess
no,
it was.
No, that was in the future. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the future was
he
like
was present day,
artificially.
And then he went into the future.
Yeah. So,
it's funny because there's this whole everything's overrun with crime. Even the corporations are overrun with crime. Like they're just greedy, legal crime, if you will. So much so that whenever they introduce the Ed 209 and he storms in the room and kills that guy, nobody's like, oh my God, this guy just died. They're like,
I know,
get back to work.
Yeah.
Like, let's fix it and just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, somebody had to go, hey, do y'all want to call a paramedic or something?
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have helped because he was he was lit up with 100 bullets.
Who thought about it? Like, seriously, when they said that, somebody want to call a paramedic? You idiot. Like, look at this. Like, what's a paramedic going to do? Is he going to go in there and just pull out all the bullets out of him? Like, the guy's this body is gone. Yeah.
And then, I mean, can you imagine being that guy? They have this war machine standing in front of him, and they're like, all right, here's a gun, which is going to activate it, point it at the machine, and then it's going to tell you to put it down. So he points it at the machine tells him, drop your weapon or whatever. And so he drops the weapon, but then it doesn't turn off. And everybody, all the scientists around him start panicking. Can you imagine that feeling of, oh crap? And you can see it on his face. And then he starts trying to duck behind other people. And they're like, no, not me. No way. Everybody's just fending for themselves.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Ed 209. That was really, we saw Ed 209 before we saw RoboCop, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, so he was the first machine.
The incident that you're talking about with the Ed 209 was what led to, okay, this doesn't work. Let's try this other thing over here. Which led them to build RoboCop.
To the RoboCop program or whatever it is. But Ed 209 was pretty cool. Like, that was all stop motion practical effects. But he looked really good. Even for, you could kind of tell it's a miniature, blown up into real life size, but they had it looked like when it was stationary and they were standing around it, they had an actual full scale one there that they were interacting with that didn't move. But yeah, he's pretty cool looking little guy. I'm surprised everyone, I remember having, I don't know if I had it or somebody else had it. I remember somebody having a little Ed 209 toy, and he was pretty cool. They had that's another thing they had out of this movie that is direct from the 80s is toy lines based around movies that
R-rated movies
kids probably shouldn't see. Yes.
Yeah. I was talking about that with it was absolutely
it was rated R. Straight up rated
How many
R.
F-bombs were in this movie? And then all the only thing it was missing was there was no nudity in it. So
there was a little bit of nudity.
Oh, there was. Okay, I must have missed
in the early on, whenever they're in the locker room, there's a couple girls.
Oh, that's right.
That are topless.
That's right.
And then in the club scene, there was a couple girls, but I only there was both of them were very brief. It was definitely not gratuitous like you see in the 80s. It wasn't that typical we're gonna have some girl take her top off just to see it or whatever, because they were the locker room scene. I remember or on the rewatch this time, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't gratuitous. They weren't highlighting it. It was just background, and it was just normal people Like they were, because there was guys too. Like there were guys naked in the background, but just the
showering
backsides. Yeah. And but yeah, so it was rated R, and they made toys for it. That's crazy.
Watched it.
Yes,
like,
because of the toys.
How old were we? I don't know. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, I mean they had lines of toys for this. Like I remember they had stuff for Alien, for Predator, for like, I had a Terminator, like all that stuff. It's just like hey, kids like this stuff, dude.
That's right.
How are we watching? How are we watching this?
I don't know. And I remember having. I mean, Karate Kid was a little more like. That I could see that applying to the little kids, but yeah, definitely like RoboCop toys. I remember having RoboCop toys, Terminator toys, like you said, Alien toys. That's just a thing of the 80s. They did not care. They don't do that now though. Like you couldn't have an R-rated movie with toys, although they do have toys for R-rated movies, but they are geared towards adult collectors. Now.
Yes, they're collector's toys.
My son wants all of them either way.
Right.
Those are not play toys. Those are toys that go on a shelf and you look at, and he doesn't understand. Why would somebody put toys on a shelf just to look at? Which I agree with. Why would you get toys just to look at?
Yeah. Some people do it.
That's true. That's true. I have toys on the shelf that I just look at, but they could be played with. They could be played with. So yeah, this movie, speaking of this movie being very almost independent, that independent feeling to it, there wasn't much of a soundtrack to it. There were often stretches where it just got quiet and there wasn't much going on in way of speaking. Yeah, and I find that very interesting.
I only really remember the main theme that they played a couple times. But yeah, I don't remember much else other than like when they were in the club, like there's music playing there. But
music.
As far as like a soundtrack though, like you're saying, it's just the only thing I remember was just the main theme. Yep.
Main theme, and then right at the end they played that main theme again. Yeah. Which
they spent most of their budget on animatronics and stop motion.
Ed 209 and RoboCop.
Yeah.
Which Ed 209, as bad as he was defeated by stairs. Essentially, he just couldn't take the stairs. Which I gotta say, I feel for Ed 209 as a guy with larger feet walking down narrow stairs. Often, I feel like an Ed 209. I have taken that tumble a few times because the stairs are not deep enough for me. Yeah, so this movie didn't have a whole lot of big stars in it. I mean, you got Peter Weller who became a star. Ray Weiss became a star, kind of that guy, or somebody that you recognize but maybe don't know the name of. But the one I want to talk about is Breaking Red, Kirkwood Smith, our main bad guy. That's right. Man. He was bad. He was ornery. Yeah.
I liked him though. Like he was a bad guy, but he's a bad guy that you're like, okay, like I like this. Like when I get this. Like he just the little things
swagger.
He does, and yeah. He was totally a great villain, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. How did he die? Was he shot?
Oh,
that's right. He got that
key thing out and stabbed him in the neck.
The key thing. Yeah.
I guess that's what you call it. I don't know. Like, I know that's how he would access terminals, but I'm like, they apparently built all these terminals with him in mind, because
with him in mind,
who else has that? But and then he goes into the what are they called? The archives, and plugs in, and they're like, no, you can't do that. Then why did you build something that he can access? Like, I don't understand that.
They got an R2D2 running around is what it is, and he's over there.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
And transferring data. We just couldn't see him.
That's right.
He was busy.
Yeah.
I think they stole that from Star Wars for sure. I'm sure there's a lot of things that were stolen from Star Wars.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Well, yeah, this was a fun rewatch. I enjoyed it. So he doesn't. Yeah, something that bothered me in the movie rewatching it. He doesn't move very fast, right? So couldn't the
No.
bad guys? Why don't the bad guys just run away from him? Like nobody ever just like runs away from like a little
They
zigzag, go around the corner, and you're gone.
They
They try and stand their ground with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Like,
bullets just bounce off of him.
I don't care how tough I think I might be in a situation, like, if I've got some heavy artillery, if I'm shooting it at this thing and he's still walking towards me and he's not fazed by it, I'm not going to keep shooting, right? I'm going to do what you're saying. I'm taking off and running. Like, okay,
That's right.
I give up.
I'm gonna get out of here.
But yeah, he is slow moving, but he. Go ahead.
No, you finish your thought.
He's slow moving, but he does have the gun twirl.
Oh yeah, which that's kind of like you see where he got that from, right? Like in the movie.
Yeah, when his son was watching that movie. Yeah,
that's the imprint of his son on him. Is that little gun twirl, which is that's neat that like stuck in his mind, and then as a robot or cyborg or whatever, that manifests as this little like quirk. But nobody goes. I gotta say, if I designed a robot or a cyborg even, and it did something outside the programming, which I gotta imagine they did not program the gun twirl in. Nobody on that team perked up and went, "Hey, you know what? We didn't program him to do that. That's coming from somewhere else. Let's figure that out." They were just like, whatever. Like it just happened. Like everybody seemed so unfazed by RoboCop in general. Yeah. Like whenever he walked into a convenience store and somebody's robbing it, the robber is just like, "Who's this Yahoo? Let me take him out." Or whenever he walks into the club, nobody stops. The beat doesn't stop. Everybody's still dancing, and he's just marches right in, gets his guy, and walks out. But nobody seems fazed by this. I gotta say, if I walked around the corner, even if somebody's in costume as RoboCop, I'm still taking a double take. I'm checking it out. Like there's gonna be some curiosity. There's not. It's not getting dismissed.
I think I think this goes back to how we were talking about just Detroit in this movie is just it's so far gone that they see this cyborg walk in and they're probably just like, well, all right. I've seen how much other stuff have I seen? How much other crazy stuff? I guess it's just one more thing, Yeah.
I mean, you got everybody's driving around in their Sucks 2000 or whatever, or SUX 2000.
That's so funny. They're like, oh, I gotta get one of those. They did. I love the advertises. All the fake ads and the newsreels, everything in this movie are fantastic. They are.
Oh,
it's so
created
great.
A whole like texture to the movie that you just don't see. You don't see that except for
they had They had that it was the Nukem board game really got me, where it was like Battleship, but it was like with nukes. I don't know.
Warheads.
That was so funny.
That was. But so what's up with the guy and the girls? That little bit that they kept running through there. I don't understand what were they trying to reference? I don't understand where that's coming from.
I just take that as it's almost a late night talk show sort of a thing, and everybody's laughing at it, and but it's really not that funny. It's just him. I buy that for $1,
it's just like some catchphrase. Maybe that's all it is. It's just supposed to show that this is what sitcoms are in the future. It's just overhyped sexuality and catchphrases and some dirty old man. That's all it is.
Yeah. Everybody that watches is laughing, and you're just like, what am I missing here?
I wonder if it made more sense in the 80s. Like, did
Maybe
people in the 80s watch it and go, "Oh yeah, that's the future. I can totally see that."
And I have found myself, I don't know, just several times as I've been like, living my life, I would bring that quote up, and just in silly times, but I could never remember where I
it came
heard it from. Yeah, and I finally actually it wasn't watching it for the show, but I looked it up like I don't know, a month ago or something like that. And I was like, I'm tired of saying this and not remembering where this is from. And then it was like RoboCop. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I forgot about that. But it's funny how stuff like that just sticks with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it just follows you around, and you're repeating it. It's memes before memes. Like that's what it's a meme in real life, I suppose.
Yeah.
Where they came from. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've all got those. Like just like every time I hear somebody say "alrighty," I can't help but hear Ace Ventura. Alrighty then,
Yeah, and, exactly.
Little things like that. They definitely like stick with you. And this one, like. That's something that tangentially they kind of, I think maybe got right about the future is like whenever they go into that guy's house and he's partying with the two girls and he's got TVs everywhere. Like he's got like 2 or 3 TVs up on the wall. And then he's got that pillar with the TVs that are kind of like staggered off of one another. And, maybe not necessarily that we have TVs everywhere now, but that television or entertainment is always on or accessible to us wherever we're at in our lives. Because there were TVs on the streets, there were TVs in the even in the police station. I think there were TVs, maybe just monitors, but like there was definitely like that's something that I think in these 80s things. Or these movies from the 80s, whenever they show the future, there's always TVs everywhere. Like even in Back to the Future, whenever they go to 2015, they got like the big pull down screen with like the multiple channels. Yeah. They got the visors with the TVs on them. Like entertainment media is present and with us and even more accessible than it was in the 80s in this future. And now in our actual present and future media, social media, all that is with us at all times. Like now, I mean, it's just on your phone. It's just literally with you at all times and constantly connected. But we'll exit that.
Well, I was going to say, like, on just kind of piggybacking on that, to not let the tangent go on for too long. But I need, like, I think that a lot of technology that we see now. Or I just want to say is in the present, like not necessarily like now as in 2024, but technology we see in the present is always inspired by something. Like I think about automatic doors that you see at like the grocery store or wherever. Like that idea first started at Star Trek because on the Star Trek show they had those and they had people on the other side of the wall pulling those ropes to open the doors as the cast would walk through there, and then you like look at their comms and stuff, and those look a lot like
modern cell phones.
And so I think like just like you're saying, like we have media access everywhere, and we've got TVs and phones and tablets and all this stuff. I think a lot of it is just, people have, they've went into careers and stuff like that, but they're inspired by things that they have seen from science fiction, as they were growing up. And they're like, how do I capture that and make that a reality? So. Yeah.
It's funny how the science fiction informs the development of, well, I guess it informs the development of technology more so than it informs the development of social progress or anything like that. Yeah. But it's definitely like technology gets pushed forward by these sci-fi movies, which is interesting. So I think you're right. Like it's definitely like aspirational. We see these things and we go, you know what, I want that. And I'm going to work towards making that thing a reality. Or something like it.
Similar to
And
it. Yeah.
inevitably,
yeah.
we end up with something that kind of like it's facsimile to that or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm gonna cap our future tangent there and pivot hard into this question for you. Does RoboCop need to shave? Because he's still got human face.
Does he? I know.
Does he need to shave?
I don't know. Does he? I don't know.
I feel like that's a good question. I feel like he's got to shave. Like that, because he's still got to eat. So the skin has to replace itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so then you got to figure the hair follicles got to grow too.
Yeah.
Unless it's like chemo or something where they just like killed off all that. The hair growth for somehow. But if he died with a mustache, would he have a mustache? It's the 80s. How did he not have a cop mustache?
I don't know. No, he didn't. He should have had
would
something.
Would RoboCop
like
be better with a cop mustache?
No,
I want to see
would.
RoboCop.
Can you imagine? You've got like the visor. Well, the visor goes down. You don't see his nose. So you would just see this little mustache protruding out. It'd be better if it was
He's
like
a have the handlebar.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I wonder
RoboCop and a handlebar.
Yes. So I wonder, he has to eat. Like,
yeah.
Where does all that go? Like, you know, he has basically like a torso, I guess, but nothing like, you know, I don't know. I don't know how does RoboCop go to the bathroom? Cyborg work? Yeah, how does he do? Like, does he need to go? Like, I don't know. You know, that's such a childish thing to ask. Maybe he's just got like a little like you wonder.
There's like a little door that opens up and it just like falls out. Does somebody got to go in there and clean that?
Who wants that job? That's for the interns.
Yeah, that is.
But I mean, did you see
in clean out RoboCop?
Yeah. In the remake, they do show him, but he's just like a head and the lungs. Yeah. Do you remember that from the remake?
Yeah, I saw the remake once when it came out. I haven't seen it again.
Yeah,
but I do remember. Same. Yeah, which in this one he would have still had a human arm at one point if that guy hadn't come in and said, "No, just chop off the arm. We just want what do you say, like the head and the spinal column or something like that, or the nervous system."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, he just wanted the bare bones. Don't need anything extra. What would it have been like if he still had a human arm?
Oh,
that'd be interesting.
I don't know. Yeah.
Would they have left it exposed, or maybe just gone ahead and paneled it off? Although he wouldn't have his strength then.
No, that's what I'm thinking. Like, you see, you know, he can just pretty much pull a door off the hinges and, you know, all that. And he's not going to be able to do that with a human arm.
No. We could dissect RoboCop all day long.
The anatomy of RoboCop.
The anatomy of RoboCop. But somebody's anatomy I want to talk about is that very final scene whenever that guy gets blown out the window and he's falling. Why were his arms like 4 feet long? What is going on?
That's something
there?
that the internet has been asking for years. It was such bad puppetry with that. It was so bad.
So was he a puppet? Is that how they got away with that?
It was a puppet. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, but they really overdid the arms on that.
Why?
So
I gotta
bad.
know why. Maybe it was like they thought perspective wise it would look different.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't.
It did not. It just looked like he had like really long, weird arms.
And that scene is so good, you know, where he's like, "You can't do anything to me," and then the CEO fires him, and he's like, "Thank you," and then he, you know, throws him out the window. But that image ruins that whole scene for me because you're on the edge of your seat, and then you see this monster falling out of the sky. It's just so bad.
I know we talked in the last episode about how much I don't like the going back and adding in digital effects, but for this movie, these frames specifically, I will allow it. If somebody wants to go in and fix this guy falling out the window, I give you my blessing. I would love to see that version of this. Definitely
just call it a quality of life improvement.
That's right.
I'm
just
crying.
improving
I'm
his
so
life.
laughing so hard about this.
It was ridiculous.
Oh, it was so bad.
But that's what
But
this
it's
movie
fun
is.
to
This
watch.
movie's it rides the edge of it's so bad it's good. But it's not really bad. It's just
No,
it's really good. Like
it
good
is.
story, like you said. It's got good, effects 90% of the time. Even there's definitely a couple little spots here and there, but it's a great movie. It's a pretty good movie.
It is. It is.
And it's it's an 80s movie. We're talking about different 80s tropes throughout this movie. One that stands out to me, the cop always knows karate. His partner, she knew karate.
Oh, yes, she did, didn't effective. She? Yep.
That's right.
Lewis,
that's her name. Lewis, yes. Lewis knew karate.
But she wasn't effective enough because she's the reason.
Couldn't save him.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say she's the reason, but yeah, she like so easily let that guy just take her and knock her out. Oh yeah. Well, I mean that first guy when they're in the warehouse and he like says something about like the safety's on or something on the gun. And she looks at it and then he just like I think the guy was like 6 feet.
He was peeing and she walked up behind him.
Yeah.
And he turned around and hadn't zipped up yet. And she looked down to check him out. And that's whenever he caught her.
Yeah.
Which I don't necessarily like I feel like they could have given a better reason for her to get overtaken by him than let me check out his junk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that could have been that could have been a little I could have given her a little more dignity.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's a product of the time. And then the same thing with whenever she comes around the corner and she sees later all the guys taunting Murphy, and I think they just started shooting at him or were about to or something. Like she came around the corner and she saw them from a distance. She didn't immediately run up or try and get their attention or save him in any way. But rather they finish their deed, they kill him off, then they go about their business, and then she kind of comes in and she's like, well, now it's too late. I feel like there should have been maybe it's an editing error, but she should have either came in after the fact or there should have been something to prevent her from making any effort to help or save him. And I feel like that was kind of a disservice on her character.
It was. Because I feel like I need to rewatch the second, and I don't know if she's in the third one. Surely she's in the third one.
She is.
Is she? Okay.
Which I was looking at the credits for 2 and 3, and the Peter Weller comes back as RoboCop in 2, but somebody comes along and replaces him in 3. She reprises her role for all 3 of them, and I don't know if she goes on to do any of the the TV series or anything like that. She's definitely got, her top 3 of her top 4 credits are RoboCop 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I wonder if she did that new RoboCop game, Rogue City, that came out. I think Peter Wellers does the voice in that.
He does, but she's not credited.
She's not credited. Okay.
Nope, she's not credited on there. She does. Her last credit is in 2008. I'm guessing she's retired.
Okay.
Would be my guess. That's her last acting credit.
I know
that's all she's got is acting credits.
Other than RoboCop. But I can't think of what it was.
Out of Sight?
One out of sight.
Another one out of sight? All right. That's the biggest one that stands out to me. Poltergeist 3.
That's it. That's
the one. Yeah, because other than that, I don't know, maybe Dress to Kill, 1941, or Home Movies.
Yeah,
other than that, I can't think. And none of these other titles stand out to me. But so they could have done better by her a little bit. Oh, Children of the Corn 666.
No, that's not. Maybe the original, but that's the only one I've seen.
All right, we'll move on.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
they could have done better by her.
Yeah, they could have. They totally could have. It just seemed like she was just like almost like a child looking in, watching everything, and I mean, not that really what is like. I don't even think she had her gun on her. Like, what was she
It
gonna
got knocked
do?
out of her hands.
I guess. Yeah. But
I don't know. Make a distraction.
We wouldn't have
something.
RoboCop if she would have done something.
That's true. That's true. We wouldn't have RoboCop. She was just more of like they kind of painted her more as like a motherly character.
Yeah.
A maternal character rather. Because, she helps him after he gets, which that's something that we need to talk about. But she helps him after the cops turn on him and brings him to that. Which it looked like she brought him back to the place where he got killed.
I think that's
it's
the same area. Yeah.
Or it just looks the same, or they just had one scene or one location and they tried to shoot it from different angles. But like she brought it back to the place where he got killed to nurse him back to health. But so like at some point the CEO guy or whatever decides that RoboCop is no longer part of the police force.
Yeah.
Or basically puts a hit out on him with the cops or something. I don't know. And then like all the police turn on him and suddenly they're just like, we're just gonna, take this guy out again.
Yeah.
Just unload on him. Man, no love for RoboCop. He could not.
No love for RoboCop. No
love for RoboCop. Ed 209 was the only one that could really do any damage to him, though. Until after that, then once he was down by Ed 209, everybody else could take on him.
Yeah, he was beat up pretty good when Mr. Red Foreman started, hitting on him and doing everything to him. I mean, they had that gang had some like high powered artillery. But. Which is I think that's another thing that I loved about Kurtwood Smith's character in this. Like when the guy from his gang pulls up and he's like, "Look at what I got with my money! I got this whatever the car was at 2000." He's like, "Oh, that's 9,000. Nice. Let me show you what I got." And he pulls that freaking cannon out and just blows his car up.
Yeah. That was pretty sweet. And then they all just like, then he's like, he hands them out to everybody and they're all just like roaming these streets, just blowing away.
Just laughing and just destroying buildings and everything. I'm like, who are these guys?
What was that thing powered by? Like, what is it just like the biggest bullet there is?
I don't know.
That thing destroys. Did they get to land one of those on RoboCop? I don't think they got it. I don't think they got a hit in on him.
No.
All that weaponry, and they couldn't get a single shot in on him. Ed 209 again, the only one that stood a chance against RoboCop.
Yeah. Yep.
True adversaries. And then Ed 209 gets taken out by a set of stairs.
Yep.
It's just sad.
But he's back. He comes back in I think RoboCop
That's true.
2.
He comes back.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I think he comes back in all three of them, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I think he's bigger because I seem to remember him being towering way over RoboCop. And then when I watched this, I was like, gosh, he's not as big as I thought he was. And I don't know if maybe he's taller in the second and third one.
I don't remember.
I
remember about the second and third one is he flew in the third one.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. No, I'm looking at the IMDb for the second one. They don't have a picture of Ed 209, so I don't know what he looked like. I don't remember. But yeah, I don't. That's all I remember is him flying in the third one. Other than that, I know I watched him. I just can't remember. Like they all kind of like blur together, Like
they do. I mean, I know you and I watched the third one together because I remember you had recorded it at your mom's off like Showtime or something, and you had it on tape, and you brought it over, and we would watch it at Dad's house.
Yeah, which
and I remember that jetpack.
here, and it's been recorded over with New Yankee Workshop.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But yeah, all our
That's dead.
VHSs with all our movies have been wiped out by PBS woodworking shows. This Old House and New Yankee Workshop and all that.
I appreciate how he didn't write on there, like he didn't cross off
No.
RoboCop. It was just like
it still says RoboCop.
Yeah, I guess if they're gonna watch it, then they're gonna be disappointed.
We're educated.
Yeah. I don't remember this.
And it's
scene
funny
in
is like the
RoboCop.
episodes are from like the late 90s too. It's not like this happened in any recent history. This happened like when we would have still been watching these movies at home, but clearly weren't, and he knew this. So they had the Nukem board game.
Yep.
And one of the other news things that they ran is the space laser that killed 2 former U.S. presidents. Was that a hit? Did the corporation that built RoboCop, did they take out 2 former presidents as well? I feel like that was purposeful. Space laser goes off and all it kills is 2 former U.S. presidents coincidentally? That's got to be on purpose. That's got to be on purpose.
Man, I know we've talked about it, but those commercials and the newsreels they have, just gosh, they make this. They're so good. They're so good.
They are. So we need in the middle of the podcast is they just a random ad read from some random product made up.
My friend and I, when we worked at the radio station, we made a couple just mock commercials. They actually let us put on the air, and they were just like,
oh, really?
Oh yeah, I don't even remember what they were about. Like, gosh, I can't remember, but I do remember doing it. I remember doing it. But yeah, they're fun to do. So like, you're talking about like when he was going, like, the sort of the climax of the movie, and he's walking. Not walking, but they're in that old like mill area, and when he's fighting all the gang and everything. The most absolutely terrifying, disgusting death I've ever seen in a movie. Yes. When that guy runs into the toxic waste. I remember seeing it. Scared me as a kid when he would come out and he's just like melting. But then as an adult, but it was so funny as an adult, like the 2 things that I thought, like, it's a horrific scene. But when he goes up to that other guy, and the guy's like, "Get off me, man! like don't touch me!" And then when
the car comes around the corner and just he just
like Kurtwood Smith's reaction, he just cusses. Like, that's all he does.
It's the windshield wipers.
He just turns on the windshield wipers.
That's all it needs.
Man, that death was so gruesome. I mean,
that's got to be
bad.
Next to taking out Alex Murphy, like with 1,000 bullets at close range. That's got to be the second worst death in this whole movie.
I would take Murphy's death if someone's like that. You get to choose 1 to 2 ways to die. You either get shot to death and get your hand blown off, or
that had to be painful.
Oh, I'm sure it was. But would you rather have your whole body melting into the ground?
Oh man,
like.
But it ended so quickly. I mean, you just walk out in traffic and it's over like a balloon.
But like he's like, telling people to help him. What are they going to do? Like your skin is liquid. Like, what are they going to do?
What were we producing in the 80s that we thought would create this toxic sludge that's just going to instantly melt everything, but not the container it's in?
Not the container it's in. And they do that in so many 80s things. Like the Toxic Avenger. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes, came out of the 80s, yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. And I remember, like, like Captain Planet, that's TV series, a cartoon series.
Yeah.
It was like they had toxic waste and all this stuff, and it was like it was. I was surprised growing up that toxic waste was not as threatening as it seemed like it was
I
going to be.
expected it to be a bigger problem.
Yes, yes.
I think we got a handle on it in the 90s. Apparently,
I think we
I don't
do.
hear anything about toxic waste anymore. I mean,
man,
pollution, but not toxic waste.
The pollution, yeah. That bin, though, that he, like, how weak was that thing? He was just able to drive a car right into it, and it just completely busted
it's full of toxic
open.
waste. It's basically just melting on the inside.
It's just melting, yeah.
How was his car not just like a puddle by the end?
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know. But,
it eats through everything but metal, apparently.
Yeah. So RoboCop could have walked through it and just been fine, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, except for, his face.
His face, yeah.
It melted his face off, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm assuming he still had his skull underneath all that, and brain and all that, which he got shot in the head. And that was the final shot. How did he not die? Like, fully die? They were able to salvage him in some way.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, are we to assume that if they hadn't intervened that there's no way that he could have lived? Could they have saved him as a person in some capacity? Or is RoboCop the only way he could have possibly carried on in any capacity of life? Because of whatever cybernetics they hooked him up to. Yeah.
And I wonder, like, does he have a brain, or have they just like figured out a way to pull your consciousness out of out of what was left?
Yeah.
I don't know, because when you look at RoboCop, like, you look behind him when he doesn't have his visor on, and it's just all cyborg. It's all metal, and his skin is just like basically like they just tacked it onto onto the front of that thing. So
barely
I don't know,
hanging on there.
Yeah.
I gotta wonder what that looks like. Does he age?
That's terrifying too. Like, I would almost just rather have, like, if it were me building RoboCop, I think I would just put the visor on as a permanent thing, like a permanent part of the face, and just be like, this is what it is. You may have a little chin, I guess, although I don't know really what. Like, I think they were trying to keep him looking somewhat human, but it just looks terrifying. Like, can you imagine, like, seeing this guy come up to you? Just a face.
They built his entire body, except for, let's say, half of his torso and his head, is all cybernetic. It's all robotics, basically. But the Ed 209, the smallest they could get it, is the size of like a small bus.
Right.
They couldn't get the Ed 209 any more compact or agile.
That's why the RoboCop program is better than the Ed 209 program.
That's true.
Yeah.
Did RoboCop have a part number? They never mentioned a part number. He's just,
I don't know,
RoboCop. It was called RoboCop.
Yeah. Just the RoboCop. Which, how generic is that, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to call him? Yeah. Like, Ed 209 has a nice ring to it. Yeah.
Which, more accurately, he would be CyberCop.
Yes.
Well, I think that about closes out all my thoughts on RoboCop and this prime directive of an episode. How about you? Any closing thoughts?
I appreciate the movie that we can watch it and thoroughly enjoy it, but it's also a movie that we can sit here and discuss and laugh about, for almost an hour, because it's entertaining, and it's like it straddles a line of seriousness, but it doesn't take itself seriously enough to. I think if this movie took itself too seriously, then I don't think
we'd
it would
have
be as
2014's
enjoyable to
RoboCop.
watch. Yeah, yes, we would. We absolutely would. And we know how well that one did compared to this.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but the other thing too is they really, this is just a side note, they really jacked with the way RoboCop looks in the new one. Like, just give me the chrome. They like had to like spray paint the whole thing, his whole black and everything to make him look edgy. I'm just like, just give me the chrome. Like, I don't know.
That's right. That blue tinted chrome.
Yep. So yeah, I don't know. I like it. I still like it, and I'm gonna go back when I get some time and watch 2 and 3, and I don't know, maybe somewhere down the road we can do an episode on 2 and 3. And,
yeah, maybe.
Maybe we had to combine it. I don't know. We'll have to see. But
we didn't even touch on the video. We didn't even touch on any of the video games that came out of this either.
No, and
that could be a whole nother thing.
It can, and I will say that without getting too into details, so that we can save some time for an episode. The Rogue City, the new one, is way better than it has any right to be. It is such a good game.
Really?
Oh yeah. You should totally play it. It is so good. Yeah.
I'll check it out. Did you ever play the old RoboCop versus Terminator?
I did.
SNES
I don't remember anything about it, but I remember you had it, and I remember playing it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't remember much. I don't remember anything about it except it had RoboCop and it had Terminator.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite games at the time. So really? That's probably why.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the first games I ever actually played through all the way and beat without like cheat codes or anything like that.
Oh, really? Wow.
It took me like all summer, but I think that was one of the first that I ever played through and beat. Definitely not the first, but anyways, we'll come back to RoboCop games another time.
Yeah. So I don't know. You got anything else to say about it? You tapped out on?
No, that was my. I was tapped out on RoboCop. I can just give me the old iron spike, and we can put a spike in this one.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about next week? What if we did our personal top 5 NES games?
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good. Next week's
Everyone
your
likes
week.
the top 5.
We'll do that. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we've reached another checkpoint, my friends. And remember, sharing is caring, and reviews, they help a lot. Also, another shout out, just a thing I need to just say. Corey Feldman, you're out there, you're listening. Open invitation, man. As always, we'd love to have you on the show. Talk about any movie, anything you want to talk about. So,
absolutely.
Until next time, be kind and rewind.
See y'all next time.
This Podcast Takes Tokens is a Clay Street production.